Financial Fashion Network is a platform we have created to host events and build community by creating content that promote personal development, financial awareness, and mental health. And it's our main goal to be a motivating force to everyone in the world. Now, if you want to support our brand, you can go to www.fnfstore.com and you can find our apparel and you can, support the brand. Take a look at our hoodies, take a look at our joggers. It's getting ready to get cold. So if you see something you like, you can actually get 10% off your first order by using discount code FNF10. Thank you. You are now tuned in to We Invest Different podcast, where we have high-level conversations. I'm Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm Victor Thomas II.
Let's tap in. Don't wait till tomorrow to be the best version of yourself. As the future might not come, stop putting off the things that you know you can do to better yourself. That's what we talk about on conversation number 48. And we also discuss how you can save money on your taxes, leaving from a 9-to-5 to retirement. Transfer that income. Tap in. Welcome to another episode conversation of We Invest Different podcast. I'm co-host Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm your other co-host, Victor Thomas II.
And we are back for conversation number 48. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, man. We've been moving on up. We almost to that 1 year mark. Seems like we just got started. Man, what you feel about that, man? We almost to conversation 52.
Hey, man, I'm just loving the consistency, man. I'm proud of both of us for that. You know what I'm saying? That be one of them things that hold a lot of people back right there, that consistency. So I'm just, overjoyed that we've been able to keep this thing rolling, man.
Right, man. Me too, man. I feel the same exact way. So how you doing today, King?
Doing good, man. Constructive. Been up since like 4 o'clock this morning. I find myself going to sleep early and I ain't going to sleep late. So that feels good. You know what I'm saying? That feels real good because I can get a leg up on the day. So, yeah, man, I'm feeling good about that. How about you?
Man, I'm feeling well. And you said something very important that I was going to already bring up. And I'm glad, man, we so aligned or whatnot. But I got some sleep last night. A lot of rain came through, man, and I was able to sleep really, really good. Right. And like my mental clarity when I woke up it's like top tier. So it really taught me that, man, sleep is a necessity and it should be made a priority. I'm not saying oversleeping. Oversleeping isn't a priority, but quality sleep should be a priority because, man, I saw a complete different person when I woke up, because before I got my rest, I was extremely aggressive. I was extremely snappy. But once I actually got quality sleep, man, it's almost like I woke up a whole new person. I can't even remember being tired. So that's very important for us to also, keep that in mind when we grinding and when we working on things. We have to get adequate sleep.
Real talk. I remember it was this whole thing about no sleep game. Everybody was talking about no sleep game.
Well, I was a part of it.
Hey, and I ain't gonna hold y'all was too by default. It ain't nothing that I was trying to do. That just was who I was at one point. You feel me?
Yeah.
But man, when I look back on that stuff, man, it jump really crazy, bro. When you really think about it,
man, it's self-neglect. Really, it's self-neglect, and we don't see it like that because we feel like we're getting benefits out of it, but it's really self-neglect. And I recently just created some content about self-neglect. It's really self-neglect and like self-destructive activities is a form of self-sabotage. And that's why we're writing a ebook, a mental health ebook on, 5 simple ways, to improve your mental health. Because it's a lot of things that we do and it's a lot of things that we don't do that causes us to self-sabotage. And we're going to talk about 5 ways to avoid that. You know what I'm saying, in the book. By applying these 5 things, you can avoid, you'll have less self-sabotage.
That's right.
But man, tapping into the topic, man, I know I didn't tell you anything, because man, when I got up with all this mental clarity, I just got a topic. I do want to tap into some financial things on this conversation, as well as talking about um, stepping into who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And stop dividing, stop detaching, you know, who you are in the future from your present self. Because a lot of time I found this personally, man, being transparent. It's like, I'm working to be this person. I'm working to get here. I'm working to get here. I'm working to get here. But the thing is that we have to see that person right now. So how do you become that person in the present that you waiting in the future to be? So what I realize is that we have to actually act. We have to do the things that that person is doing. We have to do research on our future self, right? We have to say, what does that future person, what are the things that that future person need to do? And you start doing those things consistently every day, and that's how you become that physical expression in the present of that person that you was wanting to be in the future. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I had to take that, like, personally with myself. Like, I'm no longer detaching myself from my future self, because I am my future self right now. You know why? Because I'm acting as my future self right now. I'm doing those things that I'm supposed to be doing that aligns with my future self. So that's how you become every single day, and that's how you keep growing and you keep evolving. So let's talk about how important it is, man, to understand how powerful that connection is. Like, we shouldn't be so caught up in the future, because if we want it to be our reality, we have to live it right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know one mistake I made. I always felt like, I needed a certain opportunity to present itself in order for me, to start moving like that person. But once I really sat down and looked at everything, it was like I got opportunity already. I was overlooking them though. You feel me? Like playing them to the left. For real. Because I was thinking like, oh, I guess subconsciously I was like, you know, that right there isn't big enough. But a lot of times what I realized is I had to prove myself to be able to manage what I already had first and handle what's in front of me as the person that I strive to be. Like you said, being that person right now with what I got pretty much.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all about, that mindset, because that mindset is very important, because like that vision of yourself, right? That vision of your future self. It's like, how you be in health class, right? You remember being in elementary school, middle school, high school, whichever school, and you in the classroom, and they have let's say you in science class or you in biology class, and on the wall they got posters of this skeleton or this body image, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they got all of the things drawn. Here's the fibula, here's the metatarsus, here's the tarsus, here's all of these parts of the body, but they have an image on the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we have to have the image in our head of ourselves. Like, so as we working on ourselves, we keeping that image and that vision of ourselves, like, okay, this is what I am. Okay. I am powerful. Okay. I am mentally tough. Okay. I am kind. I am loving. I am joyful. You keep those things, you're writing that image, right? You're creating that image. That image of yourself is whatever you want it to be. So it's literally like you're creating that skeleton, right? That body that you seen in science class, but you're labeling whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, for
But you're
sure.
being that, like you're being that in the present though. So it's like literally in my mind right now, I'm seeing that, right? Hopefully I'm painting a picture. Like you can paint a picture of yourself in your mind and literally act as that person in the present. And that's literally like a new person being born, literally. If you start to act on whatever that vision is of yourself in the present, you're literally you're creating that right now. And that's so goddamn powerful, because it derived from your mind.
Real talk. Real talk. And I like how you said, like, you writing it. You know what I mean? Like, it made me think about something that I try to do, or something that I do rather. Um, I literally write it down. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I read it every day. And at this point, I read it multiple times a day because I know how I'm learning that my mind has a tendency to like to revert to the old way that it functioned. You
Right.
dig what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I told myself I want to make these changes, but then when I get out here and get to moving around, it's like my behaviors always try to go back. So
Mm.
writing it down and then looking at it periodically throughout the day, like not just once in the morning, I look at it maybe like 3, 4 times a day. Cause I know I need that reminder based on how I know my mind work. I ain't saying everybody mind like that. Maybe some folks can read it once and be cool. But I know me, I gotta look at it again. Okay, live a little, live a little. Okay, reminder go off on my phone. That's what I do. I set a reminder. Boom, read it again. And this way, it's fresh in my mind, and I can remember to walk in the way that I know I need to be walking because I know self likes to go to what's familiar, and that's what I'm trying to break, like that habit, my old habits. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people just call them affirmations.
CEO here, tapping in. I just wanted to remind all of our supporters and all of our listeners to share our podcast and encourage everybody to subscribe and get these great conversations. Back to the show.
What I do is I write down this picture of myself and I read it every day and not just once a day. I read it multiple times a day. Like I literally have reminders in my phone to read, what I call and a lot of people call my affirmations. And these are basically things and characteristics that I know I need to develop within myself. And that way, it stays fresh in my mind. Because like I said, like myself has a tendency of wanting to go back to what's familiar, the old way I used to be. And it happens so naturally. So in order to break that habit of them behaviors, I know me personally, I need that constant reminder.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly where we were. And I was going to say, man, that it's so important. It's so important. What you're doing is so important. It's so pivotal. And I'm glad that you went there because that practice alone will keep it. It will remind you of what you're working on. Because a lot of times, the struggles of life will have us forgetting what we're really working towards. And like we'll lose focus. We'll lose focus on that goal. We'll lose focus on our intention and we'll lose focus on our objective. So like that picture that you're saying by writing it down and reading it multiple times throughout the day, you're working on your framework, your mental framework. Like you'll start to rewire the way that you're thinking,
Yes,
and that's
sir.
the whole point of this. This affirmation, or a lot of people call it ritual, whichever term that you want to use for it, you're free to do so. But by practicing this technique of reminding yourself who you are, right? Because that's the whole point. You have to believe that you're this person in the present.
Yes,
This
sir.
person, this person is not afar off. So the whole point is that by you viewing this in your head, by giving yourself this mental picture of yourself, and by you saying, like, okay, like this is who I am. By saying that, that's who you are in the present.
That simple.
Just that simple. That's who you are. It's making the decision. This is who I am. Because the past is meaningless. We have to understand that the past is meaningless. If I was a person yesterday that I don't want to be today, I can really just say fuck the past and be somebody else today.
True. Very true. Very
Now, I'm
true.
not saying that the consequences of the decisions that you made is going to go away. No. But at that point, once you change your life, the consequences of your old decisions don't matter anymore. You're going to be able to take it on. You're determined to take it on, like you already know what's going to come with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, all I'm saying is that keeping that mental picture of yourself is very pivotal and is very important. And I think that's one of the main things we need to focus on, in the mornings and before we go to sleep. Because man, I recently wrote on my board, to establish a nightly routine.
That right.
And instead of giving myself a whole big list of things to do. Since I'm new to having an evening routine, I just started with something simple.
What's
Pray,
that?
pray in the evening. We love to pray. We love to pray in the morning, but we have to also be cognitive of the thoughts that are going through our minds before bed, because
Very important.
um when you level up your mindset in the morning, that's going to affect you going throughout the day. But see, you have to keep doing that over and over again, because you're not also planning for the next day by getting yourself ready in the evening. You see what I'm saying? Like, you wait until that morning to get yourself ready for that day, but you're not doing anything in the evening to get yourself ready for that morning.
Real
So,
talk.
so it's kind of like a double. It's like you would like, it'll be helpful double portion. It'll be a double portion for you to get yourself ready in the evening, on top of getting yourself ready in the morning.
Real talk. And a lot of time when we do it at night, man, it'll set us up for a good morning. Because I know a lot of times, like I might go to sleep and I've probably been on watch something that's not so good, not so positive. And then I go to sleep on that. And then, be wondering why I feel some type of way. But everything be having energy. I got to remember that. So the stuff that I take in, like, no matter how I want to look at it, it's having an impact on me. So when I go to sleep, which I spend a lot of part of my life, I want to be going to sleep with some kind of good energy going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of popping it off with something that's, might be negative or violent or, something like that.
Man, I'm very guilty of that.
I think we
And
all
then,
are, man.
and then, when we wake up, we reiterate the same thing every morning, but we still reiterate the same thing in the evening, which is watching those same things over and over again. So we have to reshape our habits, which was, the main reason I brought that up is it's really our habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, that really creates who you are in the present, your habits. And unfortunately, on the physical realm, we have to change. There's some things that we have to change, and if we're not committed enough, those things could take time. Because honestly, if you want to change, it can happen right now. It's just that, how committed are you to that change? Because sometimes, man, we need more of a capacity to make changes, because all changes aren't easy. Some changes are more difficult than others. So it's like, during that time that you have to wait it out. You have to keep working on yourself. You have to keep being persistent and consistent. So those habits really matter. And I read once before that it only takes 21 days to add a habit in your life. So I'm like, okay, if it takes 21 days to build a habit, that means it also takes 21 days to quit a habit.
Mm.
So it's kind of the focus. Like, we could change everything by changing our habits, and your habits and your routines is going to form the lifestyle. So that's what I'm saying. Like, whichever way we want to live, right? Our habits and routines are going to have to line up with it.
Mm-hmm. And like one more thing too, man, that I had to remember was get back on the horse. Because I know sometimes, like, I would set these elaborate goals, or these extreme habits I need to break that I done had for years, and I'll mess around and fail, and then I'll kind of be like, well, F it then. Like, I probably won't say that, but the fact of me forgetting it and not getting back on the horse is me saying F it. So I have to remember, like, I have to go ahead and tell myself ahead of time, like, okay, I'm trying to break this habit. Self, you might not get it right the first time, but remember, get back on. Get back on.
And when you fall off, that don't mean it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the reason why King Vic is saying get back on the horse, man, because it's like the journey continues. It's not an end to that journey when you make a mistake. And just because you made that mistake don't mean that you turn back into your old self. that's still not who you are. Don't take on that belief of like, oh, I made the same mistake again, so that means I didn't change. No, that just means that your lower vibrational self is fighting to get back in.
Real talk.
Like you were just saying that your old habits want to start setting in again. You just talked about that earlier in the episode. That's your low vibrational self trying to show its way back up. Nutty Professor.
Bars.
And so, bro, that literally is what it is. Like we all have somebody that's greater than what we see in the inside. That's literally Nutty Professor. Like that was the whole point of that. Like he was a fat teacher, right? He was a professor, and like he was this great-hearted person. He had such a great spirit. He had such a great heart, but he was fat. You see what I'm saying? But inside of him, he had a skinnier person. He had a skinnier version of himself. But see, that skinnier version of himself was also that low vibrational version of himself. And it kept trying to come back up. Every time it kept trying to come back up. But see, that's all about our growth, man. We have to, the more we change and the more we elevate, the more we evolve, that low vibrational self of ours, it continues to be at bay. You know what I'm saying? Because we start to become whole with our higher selves. Like that start to be who we are 24/7, right? That starts to be who we are more consistently. So our low vibrational self, shit, when it show up, it's just like, it show up for a purpose. Like some things cause for our low vibrational self. Some situations cause for us to show up in a different way, in a different form. Some situations cause for us to show up in a different form. Not all the time we're going to show up in, our high vibrational selves, because sometimes, bro, shit don't bother you when you're in your high vibrational self. But, in life, we have problems on this physical realm that makes us have to show up a certain type of way, because you might have to resort to protecting your family in a physical way. And, once you do that, you might have to use your physical strength. And when you're using your physical strength, now you might still be able to still be using stuff now doing your physical violent activity.
True that. Very true.
The arts is real. It's a real art form. It's like it's all about energy in martial arts. Like a person can really push you. They can really punch you across the room because of the energy that they focused on. Like it's literally, man, because your physical strength is literally your mental strength. We keep separating it, and I have a habit of that too. Like we thinking that the body and the mind are separate. They are separate, but it's the mental capacity is what makes your physical stronger. It's like, bro, I seen a video of a woman trying to hang up something on her garage, and it was just her and her little son out there. And the little boy had to be about 6 or 7, like probably younger than probably like 4 or 5. So she ended up getting on the ladder, and the ladder ended up falling over, and there was nobody out there to help her but her little boy. How about this little kid picked up the whole ladder? The kid picked up the ladder and saved his mother. So my whole point is that if we think carnally, right? If we think on the physical realm, we would say that there's no way that kid could pick up a ladder. We limit ourselves by thinking like that. But see, his mind said, pick up the ladder, right? His body wasn't speaking at that point. His higher self was saying, pick up that ladder and save your mama. He didn't have time to actually explore the physical limitations, right? He didn't even think about the physical limitations, right? Oh, I'm only 5 years old. Oh, I'm only this strong.
Come on now. Come on now.
His higher vibrational self said that this is the problem and this is what you do. He didn't doubt anything. He went exactly, he attacked the issue. He didn't think. He didn't look for a physical way out. He understood that he was the way out. And that's why we have to stop thinking that God is outside of ourselves and that our strength is outside ourselves. Like it's within. Like as soon as we believe it's there, it's there.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to point out something that you just said about that little boy. He didn't think about his limitations. And we got to remember that when we attack any goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I can't do this. I never did this before. I ain't never known nobody that did this. I ain't got enough help. All that kind of stuff impacts our mind.
Hallelujah.
And it ain't nothing but doubt. That's what I heard when you were talking about that. That little boy ain't think about no doubt. He just went for it. And I think that's the number one thing in achieving anything. We got to figure out a way to remove this doubt that we somehow grow up into.
Hallelujah, man.
Real
Hallelujah.
talk.
I can't do nothing. When you was just explaining, when you was edifying, you know, what I just said about the little boy, I couldn't help but think about David and Goliath. You know, David was going up against a whole Philistine giant. And we know that giants is literally like a superhuman being. It was literally a mixture between an angel and a human. So David, this little small runt little boy, whom the prophet came to seek for. See, David had all these big brothers. They were strong, you know, they were strong soldiers, but David was a puny man. This is when he was young. David slayed Goliath as a young man. He wasn't even king yet. This is before he was even king. So, but David believed. David didn't think about his limitations like you just said about that little boy. Because surely this man is a big giant. Surely he would say, he can just step on me and it'll be over. But no. He tapped into what? The higher self, which is God.
That's what he did.
And
And I ain't questioning nothing about it.
And look what happened. Victorious. And I believe that we'll be victorious with everything once we stop doubting and believe. Stop the doubt. I don't care what it is. Stop the doubt and just believe. Like, the not of fear. And what you can do is just ask the higher power for that. Because when his existence is within you, it said true love casts out. So the more you start believing in who he is, the less fear you'll have. So it's like we're all on a journey of having less fear. I'm not saying that in one day all of your fear will be removed. It's possible for it to happen like that, but I'm just saying for the general, like, it's a journey for most people. Like, everybody don't do that transformation overnight. Some have. Like in the scripture, Paul, when he got converted on the way to Damascus, his name was changed right then. So it can happen overnight, but for the like being conservative and being realistic for like the general majority of people, you know, majority of people are still going to be afraid that it's possible for them to change their life.
Real talk.
Shit, when you figure out that when you figure out that you don't have to live how you've been living, sometimes it takes time for you to really believe that shit.
And one thing that helped me, bro, like going off what you just said about living how we living, we don't gotta live that way. It made me think about what helped me in having that type of courage. It's like, and it's crazy how my mind would think, and I'm pretty sure other people think this way too, but it was like, I want my life to change, but I'm still holding on to how I am right now and what I got right now. It's like, God, I want this. I want to be able, like, subconsciously, God, I want to keep this stuff how it is. But in order for me to have that courage, bro, I had to be willing to let go of everything right now. No attachment to it. Like, God, if you want to take it, go ahead and take it. And I think that'd be a source of a lot of people fear, because we want to live in that comfort that we used to subconsciously. But in order to get to that next place and to acquire that new place or those new things, whatever it may be, that new thinking, we got to be willing to let go of where we at right now and not be afraid to lose it, no matter how uncomfortable we may think it is.
And allow God to help.
For sure.
You ain't on this journey by yourself, man. For a long time, I felt like I had to do a lot so much by myself. And like with this process that I'm going through with money laundering and what I'm doing right now with using a 9-to-5 income to create more impact in our companies and doing things in the community or whatnot. Like what I'm learning is that God to give you the strength to do whatever it is that you need to do, man. Like you just gotta put your faith in him. And like I'm speaking from experience and I'm speaking from where I am right now. Like I'm praying every day, even with this coming out of my mouth right now. Like I'm praying saying like, Lord, continue to help me to do the things that I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't do it by myself. And we all have to experience, we all have to know that. We all have to come to that realization. Like this isn't a journey for you to do it by yourself. It wasn't set out for you to do it by yourself from the beginning. But see, the world and society has made us think that we supposed to be self-made. Oh yeah, we supposed to be, I just did all of this on my own. I'm supposed to be muscling up. I'm supposed to be grinding this and grinding that. We just got done talking about sleep deprivation.
Mm-hmm.
See, all of this stuff it's all psychological manipulation, man.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff, like they make you think that if you don't sleep, if you don't get adequate sleep, they're making you think that you less than a man. They're making you think that you really you more. They're making you saying that you more of a man when you don't get sleep. And the man that get rest, they saying that the man get rest is lazy. So, and then too, bro, I noticed something also, like how vegan is becoming to be a trend. Like veganism, right, and eating natural foods has become a trend when that's literally how we supposed to eat anyway. Like how is it that eating natural foods became a trend when that's literally the normal way to fucking live?
That's
How
crazy.
like how did the world get here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we in a world now where like eating processed foods and being addicted to processed sugar is the way we're supposed to live. And like anything outside of that, eating herbs and eating organic, it's supposed to be like, see, they pick on the conscious community now, like, you eat grass. You see what I'm saying? Like they say things to demean people who have consciousness. But
Right.
see, really, man, they making being lost fire. You know what I'm saying? They making being lost. They making being ignorant. They making being uneducated fire.
Mm-hmm. That matrix, man. That's that matrix. And you know what I mean? When I usually think about that, I would think about like what I would call the powers that be doing that. But what I'm starting to realize is it's even deeper than that. It's like I would look at like, a society that's trying to do this stuff, but in all actuality, having that influence is a part of all of our journey. Because look at it like this: we're involved in a system that promotes that type of stuff, right?
Right.
Now the trick is to remove ourselves from the system, but we can't remove ourselves from that with our willpower. I don't care how much willpower a person think, they're gonna have to dig within to make the necessary change. They're gonna have to make that change in their heart first. And we
Right.
gotta let God in to do that.
Right.
But see, once God comes into our heart and then we make them changes, we give credit to God. And then we give God the glory. God, you did that. I couldn't have did that alone. I tried. And that's what God wants. So that's why I say I can't look at it as some organization that's doing it. I got to look at it as, God got this in place so he can get me through it, and then he can get the glory that he ultimately wants. Because through any situation that we go through, any system that we need to break, any habit that we need to break, it got to be in our heart. And we got to call on that higher source to help us.
Mm.
And that's by design, bro. That's what I realized, bro. It's by design. God wanted it that way. Because just think, if life was just peaches and cream, like we ain't have to go through nothing like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like our praise to God would be like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. But once we've been through that fire and we done broke them habits and we done changed our eating habits and we know that God did it, it turned from a thank you, Lord, to a thank you, Lord. Oh my God, hallelujah, Lord. Oh, yes, hallelujah. I gotta tell somebody about this now. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
It
I
turned
agree.
into that.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100, 1000%. because it's,
Go ahead.
without the adversity, bro, we really don't know the good. Because it's like without the opposite force, without somebody saying like, oh, this ain't right, or without something coming along negative, we won't know how good is.
Real talk.
So I definitely understand that this is by design and by default, because God can't show his greatest power. He can't show who he is if everything is good. And like if everything was peaches and cream, that's why he created Satan in the first place, so that he can get the glory. Because he knew himself that Satan can't beat him. He know that. But see, that's why he got Satan to try us. See, the battle is not against God. See, Satan knows that he can't beat God. But see, if he can get God's creation, he feel like he got some sense of a victory. But see, once we realize who we are, which is we are an extension of God, right? We are God's creation. When we realize that, then that's how Satan can't defeat us. So so that's all it is. Is like he want to defeat the God in us because he can't actually defeat God. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a battle to delete God out of our belief system. He wanted to delete God out of our consciousness, because you can't kill God. Only thing you can do is just kill your confidence and belief.
And that's so easily done sometimes, especially when we away from God. And that's what made me say, like, it's a heart thing. Like anything we want to do, I don't care what it is. It start in the heart. And I remember one time you said it go from the heart and then to the mind. Everything got to start in the heart. Like we think that we can do this willpower by not staying asleep, working long hours. No, man. If we let our heart be open to God and say, God, I need your help, God will start lining things up for us. But we ain't got to so much, try to rely on our willpower and our understanding of stuff. Cause I mean, when I was in Alcoholics Anonymous a while ago, well, in rehab, I say that. I remember this dude talking about willpower in reference to the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because one of the first things on the 12 steps is, submitting yourself to a higher power. And he was basically saying you got to do that because your willpower ain't nothing. And he would always make this example of, show me how strong your willpower is. He said, if you had diarrhea right now, how strong is your willpower to keep that boo-boo from coming out? And that's real talk.
Ain't nothing you can do, bro.
Ain't nothing you can do.
And you don't hurt yourself worse trying to go against it.
You see what I'm saying? Real talk. Yeah. So I just like that example, bro, of our willpower. That's a good example of our willpower. It can't stop no diarrhea. And we may think that our willpower is doing something in a certain area in our life, and it may appear to be doing something, but compared to relying on that higher power, God, it ain't doing nothing. Compared to that type of movement and action.
Man, that's a great ass point, man. But man, I know bro, it's so much we can keep going on this topic for days and days and days, because it's literally like we started off the conversation saying it's really about like not allowing your future self to be too far off and freeing yourself from that, right? Because a lot of us told that we like, okay, I'm not there yet, and we told that it's like a badge of pity. You know what I'm saying? We're looking for like self-pity. It's like, oh, I'm not there yet. I want to be here, man. Like, oh man, I'm working this job right now, man, but I ain't gonna be there. Like, man, shut up. like it sounds weak. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know who you are. Like, and that's what I didn't used to know about myself, right? And that's for a long time. I couldn't do the strategy that I'm doing now because I didn't really know who I was. Like, we allow so much to define us, right? We allow so much to define us. But man, you define yourself, bro. Like, you are who you say you are, bro. I am not an employee. Like, I know who I am. Like, I know what power I have. Like, this is the self-realization that we all have to have so we can move through our life, like, more smoothly. Like, nothing defines you. Don't put yourself in any box. Like, nothing that you do should be put in a box. Like I'm nothing, right? I'm not saying I'm anything, but I'm everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm anything, but I'm everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm just one thing. Like all I'm saying is that I am an existing I'm an existing energy of God. Like my consciousness, I believe in God and I believe He exists in my consciousness. So everything that I decide to do in the physical realm, I believe I'm blessed in it. So no, like if I'm not a slave, I'm not gonna be called one. I'm not gonna live like one. My thought frequency isn't gonna be one. I don't care how many jobs I work.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's like the approach that we got to have for anything. Like, we can't allow nothing to define us. Like, if we know who we are for real, our true identity is children of God. If we know who we are, that's the only thing we have to go by. Like, I'm not confined to whatever definition it is in this world. Like, I'm, I, I go by what God said I am, bro.
Real talk.
And God says that I have dominion. God says that you are my creation. God said that you are my child. God said that you are rich. You see what I'm saying? God said if you seek me first, if you seek after the kingdom, he said, take no thought for what you're gonna eat, take no thought for what you're gonna wear. He said, all of these things will be added unto you.
Come on now.
See, man, that's what I'm saying. We have everything, so we shouldn't put ourselves in a box just because of a certain condition or circumstance and on the physical realm. Like that's not who we are. I don't care what we go through. Like even you was just talking about, Alcohol Anonymous. Like you went through alcoholism, but you was never your true self was never an alcoholic.
I'm tell hey, I'm glad you said that, bro. Cause that one thing that they be doing and I remember that, bro. They used to always push this thing of always saying, hey, my name is so and so and so, and I'm an alcoholic. Bro, I disagree with that shit so much, bro. I
See,
disagree with that shit. That's one thing I think they got wrong, bro. I mean, it's a great process and all that, but that right there, hell no, I wasn't with that.
man.
And I think that's why, and I'm gonna just keep it one funky. I don't go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings no more. You feel me? Cause I ain't no fucking alcoholic.
Talk your shit.
You see what I'm saying? No, I don't drink, but I ain't no alcoholic.
Right. But you see how exactly. See, that's still placing you in a box.
Right.
You can't even by still calling yourself an alcoholic, you are still putting yourself in that arena with those who call themselves alcoholics.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna
So
tell you the
like
truth. I think that's why a lot of people stay locked into that. You know what I mean? Some people's got, and I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me, I couldn't see myself being the type to having to constantly go to a meeting, an Alcoholics Anonymous week meeting every week. And I think a lot of people fall into that cycle because they go every week saying, I'm alcoholic. Every week they telling themselves this. Sometimes multiple times a week they saying, I'm an alcoholic. Hey, my name is this, and no. Now, granted, some people that might be what they need. Maybe their problem was more severe than mine, but I don't know. But I know I had a pretty severe problem, and I shunned that whole concept of I'm an alcoholic. And what I also did, during my process, and still to this day now, is I shunned the concept of looking at time. That's something that I did initially, and I think that could be taken when we pursuing anything. When we trying to change who we are, like what we've been talking about. When we trying to change who we are, don't look at it from a time frame. Look at it like this is who I am.
exactly.
I'm becoming this person. I'm not
Yes.
trying to be this person by a certain date. I'm not trying to be this person for a certain amount of time. Just like with a diet, I'm not trying to diet for 3 months. No, I'm changing my whole self.
Exactly.
You dig what I'm saying? It ain't even about
Yeah.
time. It's about me, which is my spirit is outside of time. This flesh is in time, but my spirit is timeless.
And
That's
too,
what needs
bro,
to heal.
how many actions do you have to act on before you become that which you acting on?
I
Let
don't
me
know.
explain.
Yeah,
Let me
go ahead.
explain what I'm saying. Like you got to drink a lot of drinks to say, "Oh, I'm an alcoholic," right?
Mm-hmm.
So how many good actions would you have to do to say I'm a changed person? So it's like how often, like we have to stop going by that identity after you be consistent to a certain amount of time. Like I understand you saying, okay, if you haven't transitioned, if you haven't made that transition into growth, I understand you still calling yourself, that same person that you was, because you haven't all the way came out of it. But like mentally, if you saying like, okay, I'm making this change, from that very point, you don't have to go by your old identity anymore, because once you consistently act on being another person, if you do that over and over again, that's who you are now. So you don't have to go back. You don't have to go by your old identity anymore, because you've acted upon your new self multiple times. So it's just like, okay, like I'm not a murderer unless I killed multiple people. Like it's just like you don't become that person until you have that shit multiple times. Is what I'm trying to say. It's like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I kind of disagree a little bit.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, in certain cases, like we allow society to label us. But I think that once we tell ourselves something and we really believe it, What that point when we really believe it is true. So, like, say if a person has killed somebody 10 times, and a lot of people won't agree with this because of society, but say if somebody done murdered somebody 10 times, if that person get up one day and say, I'm not a murderer, at the point that they really start to believe it within themselves and they give a fuck what society, they stop giving a fuck what society say about them, it's their truth. And what other truth matters besides your own?
Oh, definitely, bro. Let me slow that down. So before that person got into that situation where he killed 10 people, right? While he was killing those people, he was considered a murderer because he had done it multiple times. That's why he was labeled a murderer. So when he decided, you know what, I'm not gonna be a fucking murderer no more. After he stopped killing consistently, he don't have to go by the old identity of murderer anymore, because you don't kill.
Right.
So just right, because you changed, right? Once you change, at that very moment when you said I'm not a murderer anymore, and you stop acting like a murderer, you're no longer a murderer.
Right. And then that tie into that belief. Like once you really believe it, that's when it changed. I get what you're saying now.
That's what I'm saying, right? So like you no longer have to go by murderer. I don't give a fuck if you killed 38 people. Like once you change, you don't have to keep labeling yourself by what your past said you was. Your identity is what today is, your present. Like you are what you are right now. So, and that takes us back to the original point. You don't have to wait to be your future self, bro. Your future self is right now. All you have to do is say it right now and believe it right now. And at that very moment, the actions that you act on in the future need to be lined up with that person you say you are. So you can't.
And when we do believe it, the action's gonna flow with it, bro.
Exactly.
That's a clear indication if we believe what we saying or not. Exactly. The action's gonna show.
So, bro, that was a good part of the conversation. I did want to add some financial conversation into it, because I did previously start thinking about, taxes, man. I've been watching some stuff on taxes and how, taxes is one of the leading ways that people are losing their income. And so it's like when I used to work a job back in like 2017, 2016 or whatnot, I used to work at Walmart. And like, that's when I started learning how big taxes was, like how big an industry of a taxes was. Like they take almost half of your income before they get it to you. So what I'm on to do now is to learn taxes and to also cover myself with the LLC. So like LLCs lowers your tax liability, whether you work a job or not, whether you on, a W-2, whether you're on 1099, whether you on, whatever tax code you're going under, you will always lower your tax liability by owning an LLC. And also, once you're working on the job, by stating on your W-4 form that you are exempt from federal tax, you get the opportunity to get your money up front so you can spend it on your business, so you can get the tax deductions that every business owner get. So while I was working, man, I owned a home-based business, and I was able to file exempt and get my tax deductions because I own the business. So that's what I also, when you're on the job and you have a 401k plan, when you leave your job, let's say you quit your job and you want to start your business, you need to be investing into that 401k plan. So once you leave, you don't pull it, right? You don't pull it from that business account. What you want to do is roll it over into an IRA account that lowers your tax liability. Because you get, if you're already going to be pulling it too early, because this is for people who are under the age of 65. You know, if you're under the age of 65 and you got a 401k plan, it'll be smart for you not to withdraw it until you roll it over into an IRA account. And then you'll save yourself the penalty, and the only thing you would have to pay is 10% tax on every withdrawal. So you save buku, you save about 25 to 35% of your taxes just by rolling it over into an IRA account.
I'm gonna need that broke down from you, cuz, for real, for real.
Oh, it's definitely simple, man. And that's really why I wanted to bring it to the platform, bro, because everybody need to know about this, man, because the wealthy has been doing it. Like, that's the number one way to go invisible, is to get a business and lower your taxable liability. Because it's like you can work multiple amount of jobs, right? And that's income coming in monthly, whatever, how much ever your payroll is coming out. Like, that's income coming in. But see, half of your income almost is gone off the top of the dome. But like, if you're an employee, that's the worst place to be. Like, if you don't own a business, man, that's like the worst place to be, because your money is taken before you even get it. And so that's why people need to open up their minds, right? And that's why we got this platform, because people need to understand the strategy of business ownership. It's not just saying, oh, I don't want to work a job. Like, you still, let's say you still want to work your job. Keep working. But you just need to apply a strategy. I'm not going to work a job and work against myself. Let me work a job and also own a business so that I can offset my taxable income, lower my tax liability, get my tax deduction, and I still probably get a tax return. Like, because of my tax deductions. Because the whole point of a tax return, or as a business, you know, right? I ain't talking about your tax return on your job. But when you file taxes for your business, people say, oh, you're not going to get no tax return back. It's people that own businesses that get a tax return, bro. It's because everybody don't make profit. Like, everybody don't make profit every year in their business. So because you have a loss, you get a percentage of that back. So you get to report all of the money that you spent, you know, on your journey to make profit throughout the year. And you get a percentage of that back. Your rent. You know what I'm saying? If you work from home, you get a percentage of circumference of your square footage of your home space that you use. Also, your cell phone bill, like how we recording this podcast off of my cell phone that I pay, we get a percentage of that back. And that's why I'm using this strategy to get myself in order and get the business in order so that it can be aligned. And this is very important, you guys. You can offset everything by using your job income to fund your business, fund your passion, fund your purpose, fund your impact, whatever it is that you want to do. All you have to do is just use the benefits. And no matter what the economy goes through, it still holds up, right? No matter, okay, if we're going through a recession, your business is still going to get the same tax deductions, and you may even get more.
Lit.
Man, so I just wanted to put that out there. And that also can be a rule of thumb for the financial theme of the month. So even though the financial theme of the month is sticking to your financial goal, like whatever that financial goal is, stick to that financial goal, because a lot of times we get this New Year resolution, right? We get excited, we get pumped up, and then 3 months down the line, we don't fell off. So it's like, let's stick to one by one. Let's set one financial goal and let's stick to it. I don't care if it's, like we said, saving 1%, saving 2%, 3%, whichever number that you can do consistently. Let's start with one thing and let's continue to keep that momentum going so you can evolve your goals as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know we've been on for a while, Ken. You got anything you want to say? I know you got some bars or whatever you want to drop.
Nah, man, just keep the faith, man. That's it, man. Keep the faith. Get that ball to the wall, faith. If you don't know how to get it, ask God. He'll line you up. But be ready for a challenge. Be ready for that challenge, but don't back down. Be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. entertaining that faith because it's gonna be worth it once you get it. You gonna look at shit so much different, and it's from experience. And I'm still working on my faith, but man, I'm seeing it so much different.
That was powerful, man. We're gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna go ahead and take that word for myself as well. We thank you guys for tuning in to conversation number 48. We went over a few things about, not letting your future self distract your present. Actually bring your future self into your present by being that person right now, by acting on the things that you're supposed to do to become that person. And then also we talked about taxes. We also talked about, we talked about a lot of things, but I just wanted to do a little brief rundown. But with that being said, I'm King, co-host, Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm your other King co-host, Mr. Victor Thomas II.
And man, we'll see y'all next week for episode number 49. The Two Kings is out.
Peace.
Peace.
Are you stressed, anxious, or depressed? Well, here's some good news for you. We started a mental health movement called MH10, and we encourage people to pay more attention to their mental health. So do this for us. Take at least 10 minutes per day to take a walk in nature, a jog, run, or just meditation to decrease your stress, because stress is one of the leading causes of chronic physical and mental illnesses in the body. So if you want to join the movement, you can also post on social media, post your 10 minutes by using hashtag MH10 or mental health 10 minutes.